Mordor is open with update 25, preview 1. So this is the first beta for the new Minas Morgul update. And in this video I'm just going to go over everything that's new and just have a quick look at all the stuff. So starting at the top, we have 2 new regions. I've already made like landscape videos for these regions, but I'll take a quick look in this video as well. You continue the Black Book with Gandalf from Björninghus, then eventually it'll take you back to the Second Age, to Mordor Besieged. This is the part right after Sauron was defeated, and the elves and the men are besieging Barad-dûr for several years. And on the screen here you can see the map. It's actually Dor Amarth back then in the Second Age. It looks quite a bit different from what we had in the Third Age. Another cool thing about Mordor Besiege is that it appears that some, if not all, of the Nazgul are roaming around, including the Witch King. I noticed I got a fellowship quest for killing the Witch King, so I assume you can group up and kill the Nazgul, so kind of like roving threats in a way, but not quite. We'll see how that turns out. I'll take a quick look through the video. In the beginning you can see what Dengarth looks like. Of course we know the ruins of Dengarth from the Third Age, but this is obviously way back when it was actually kind of a little town fortress thingy. Now looking at the landscape, it's quite different. It's more like ashy, I find, and it's a lot different from Third Age. On the right here you have Mount Doom. This fortress over here, the ramparts you can see, that's where the men of Gondor are camped. Take a look, you have ballistas, and all the men, and there's a tent at the top where the king sits. And a bit more towards the north is where the elves have set their camp. Thranduil, Celeborn, they're all up here. And if we head a bit further east, this is where in the Third Age we have Lughash, with all the dwarves that you help in Dor Amarth. And in the Second Age it's actually quite different. Called Amon Fuin. It's a big fortress. Looks pretty impressive. I also took a look inside. It's kind of like a temple. And that's a boss, I assume. And of course, if you keep heading east, eventually you'll get to Barad-dûr. In the Third Age, we only get to see the ruins of Barad-dûr, but here we get the full-scale Barad-dûr. And personally, I like it. I think it's really impressive. And also for this zone, you might remember the rare Mordor chests from the original Mordor expansion. They're making their comeback, and I assume we're getting treasure chests eventually. And there's also pages scattered all around the lands that you can pick up for the Lost Lore. The new rep faction is the White Company. And of course there's a lot of new deeds, and you can see the new barter items, the Sigil of Imlad Ithil, gonna be the new coin that you barter the stuff for. And you can see you get virtue XP and rep from deeds, as usual. Taking a look at the other zone, there's the Morgul Vale. Where I'm standing right now is the crossroads. Osgiliath is here. You can enter Morgul Vale from the west or from the east from Mordor. Of course you get the impressive Minas Morgul. You get the hills of Cirith Ungol. And all the way to the south you have something called Thuringwath. This kind of a spooky forest. And Bar Nirnath is kind of a Sauron worshipping himself temple. There's a statue of Sauron on top of this. Looks pretty cool. Can take a look real quick through this video as well. First, when you enter the Morgul Vale, there's Minas Morgul up ahead. Looks pretty awesome. This bridge is broken, so I assume you have to go up to Kirithungol, do some quests, then make your way around before you get to Minas Morgul when the game goes live. Went higher up and got a better view of Minas Morgul. I also found the winding stair. I assume this is where Sam, Gollum, and Frodo climbed to Kirithungol, because when you reach the top here, you get this really cool look at Kirithungol, the tower in the background. This is what Minas Morgul looks like. The map, if you zoom in on Minas Morgul, it is very similar to Minas Tirith. You have the different levels, but at least on this one there's only like 3, 4, 5 levels, not 7. And it's a bit smaller. I went into the city, got a look at it, looks pretty nice. Looks pretty nice. I especially like the top level, right here. You have a statue of Sauron, you have some enemies. The Fell Beast statue, I assume. And then you have the big tower up. I also found a room with a lot of dead orcs in it. This might be part of a quest or an upcoming instance. There's this Dark Maw standing here. I assume he's responsible for this. Right now he doesn't have a name, he's not active, he's just standing there doing nothing. That's something we're gonna see more of in future betas. Found another nice view for Minas Morgul from the side. I really like how it looks from the outside, it looks really nice. A place called Daru Luggers, the broken houses, a lot of whites. And when you head south, you get to Mithrandir, you go through this really foggy, misty passage. You come out, get this really nice view of the Sauron temple, that's what I'm calling it. See it there in the distance. Statue of Sauron, it's all the way at the top here. If you go down, you get into this forest that I was talking about. Till you get to the temple, you can see Sauron's statue at the top. Temple looks really cool. But overall, I think the zones look pretty good, as they always do with Lotro. When it comes to stat caps for 130, it appears that they have just simply been doubled. So the mastery cap was like 303,000. It's now going to be doubled to like 606, 607, around there. Just assume that every cap has been doubled, so crit rating was 225k. It's now going to be 450k. When it comes to allies themselves, there's been no increase of legacies or the need for starlets. But I assume in future builds we'll see an increase. And like the previous expansion, we got a 10 level legacy increase and a 5 level main stat increase. And I assume we'll be getting that with Minas Morgul. Going back to the patch notes, of course you get the level cap increase by 10 levels from 120 to 130. There's going to be new crafting guild benefits, which I will look at later. Of course, the Black Book of Mordor continues. And Hobbit presents right now on Bulror are currently disabled. They're being reworked, which is good. They've needed a rework for a while. There's also been a Rune Keeper balance pass. On the screen right now you can see what has been changed with the Rune Keeper. The biggest changes were to blue line. I've never healed on an RK, so I am not the person to look at this, but from what I've seen and read, the general reception of these changes are negative, that it's not good for RKs. They're not seeing a lot of changes to the heals, so we'll see what happens in the future with this. Red line had some minor tuning, but I didn't notice any big difference when I played on my RK on beta. And yellow line is supposed to have some buffs, but I'm hearing there's not a huge DPS increase, so we'll see what happens in future builds with the Rune Keeper. Hopefully they will adjust to the feedback and make it better. There are some notes on crafting. Of course, it's only beta build 1, so crafting is not fully implemented yet. But I'll take a quick look, see what we have so far. Looking at my Guardian, I'm a metalsmith. The new crafting tier is called Minas Ithil. And you have your standard recipes, the Rune Keeper items, the processing tab, and shields. So it looks like it's gonna be pretty similar to what Ironfold was. 50 ingots, 3 shards, there's new shards, of course, new ore, new everything, and new tier of stuff. But to me it looks like it's gonna be very similar to Ironfold. There's been a change to farmers. The time to execute planting recipes reduced from 10 to 3 seconds for most of the recipes, which is good. You don't have to spend as long crafting as a farmer. And of course, the big news, the crafting carryalls. You buy the Ultimate Fan or the Collector's Edition, you'll get these. I will go take a look what they look like. So on the screen right now, I'm in the crafting hall in the Isengard Tavern. Here you can have a look at the crafting carryalls. Just having a quick look, I'm sure you all see how they work. You have the small crafting carryall. You can hold up to 10 stacks of crafting materials. You open the bag, there's nothing here. You can hit gather, it'll gather your crafting materials. See here, I have 10 stacks. And on the small crafting carryall, they will stack up to 2000, I think, is the max. You get this small crafting carryall if you buy the Collector's Edition or the Ultimate Fan Edition of Minas Morgul. But also if you buy the Ultimate Fan Bundle, you also get the large crafting carryall. Now this can hold up to 50 stacks. Let's gather everything I have. Can hold up to 50 stacks and they can stack up to 5000 in this one. So if you struggle with bag space or anything, you can get these bags. They only take up 2 slots. They can stack 60 items for 2 slots. That's going to be really helpful for people to make some bag space. And of course, there's 2 instances in this build. It's Ithil Gwaur and Gorthad Nur. On beta, you don't have to discover the 3-mans, but I assume that on live, you'll have to discover. The first 3-man is found right here. Ithil Gwaur, just go there and discover it. The second one is pretty close. It's up here behind Minas Morgul. Gorthad Nur, the Deep Barrow. I've done these on tier 1, so I'm gonna take a quick look at that. This is the first one, called Ithil Gwaur. It's kind of like, give me like an acid wing or thank feeling. Just a lot of poison water. I'll just look through it real quick. A lot of poison, you have leeches, you have fumaroles, poison fumaroles. Pretty much you clear a lot of ads. There's dark waters. Till we get to boss 1, which is Balchneth. It's really glowing, mushroomy, like blue mushroomy fungi fumarole. This fight on tier 1, this is tier 1, was pretty straightforward. You DPS the fumarole, and I think like 4 times he spawned a bunch of grasps, tentacles that pull you towards them, just like Kizulkala. You just kill the tentacles, back on the boss, kill the tentacles, back on the boss. I'm sure in tier 2, tier 3 there's gonna be different mechanics compared to this. But on tier 1 this fight was really straightforward. After you finish the boss, you just keep clearing more trash, more trash. Your standard 3-man, you kill the trash. Then you get to the final boss, which is this big, kind of Kitsulkala looking room. It's another like maiden you need to cleanse, I guess. The first phase of this fight was pretty straightforward. Use DPS Lady. There's no real mechanics. The only thing is like she tosses someone up in the air, you fly straight up and come down. And you also get these shadows on you, which says you're hallucinating. You couldn't see any effect of that in tier 1, you just saw the pop-up on the minstrel right there. This was easy, you just DPS down until she phases. At that point she goes into the water. Like so. Like you can see here. It disappears, and up comes this really creepy looking swamp monster. That's why it reminds me of Kitsulkala. Now this one's a bit different. You can see you have all these small islands, and there's like small bridges that cross. This boss mechanic, it started shaking. When it starts shaking, you need to move to a different island because it's gonna vaporize this entire island over here. As you can see right now, it's gone. Now she starts shaking again. The ground starts shaking, it means she's gonna remove this piece of land. And it keeps doing this, so the idea is to move around, keep moving around, especially for the tank. You also got some ads midway through, but on tier 1 this is pretty simple. If you have a ranged DPS, you can just stand on this middle island and just have the tank run around and just kill the boss. And when I got to the end, this chest was bugged. It has the same locks as boss 1, so we couldn't get any loot. Looking at the second 3-man that we could play on this beta, Skorthad Nur. This is kind of like a crossover from Barrow Downs and Forsaken Inn. You have all these traps on the ground, you have a pile of bones, and it looks a lot like a Barrow Downs style. These pile of bones had minus 50% incoming for ranged and tactical, which means that this instance is pretty melee friendly. And I don't mind it being a bit different, like some fights melee can get a chance to shine. That's not a bad thing to me. But this 3-man was also pretty straightforward. There's a lot of these, there's a lot of ads, there's the traps. You keep clearing ads. And eventually when you clear all the ads, you get to the first boss. This boss was also pretty straightforward on tier 1. Just DPS the boss. There will be some ads, but just keep DPSing the boss and eventually he dies and you get the loot. After that there was more trash, similar bone piles. This is the last boss room you get to eventually. See the boss chilling in the middle, lying there. Just need to clear these ads. When you clear these ads, the boss will activate. Gershorn looks pretty cool. I like the look of him. Couldn't really see any real mechanics from this guy. He did like a random attack now and then, and it appears, and it looked like he had frontal damage. But the thing about him is that he's bugged. Once you get him to 75%, he goes green, and there's no way to get rid of this green bar, so you can't kill the boss. But probably in the next beta, this is gonna be fixed, and you'll be able to kill him. But overall, I like the look of the new 2-3-mans, and I'm looking forward to playing the other ones. Some item news. When you use a legacy replacement scroll, you now carry over much more XP than before. They did some updates to the legendary weapon and relic damage progressions. Apparently they did this to tune the DPS from main hands, the allies, to be the same as their offhand versions or more on the line with those. We can see in the game that the runes have been nerfed quite significantly, but I didn't notice any big difference on my RK or my guard at all. You're now able to use some items while mounted, and especially the Flame of Ankelamir. You can now ash stuff while mounted. This is really annoying if you're mounted and you want to ash something, it dismounts you, but that's no longer the case, which is really good. A small change for PvP: if you play in Ettenmors or Osgiliath, you can now use cosmetic outfits. Now looking at the new tier of the crafting guild, my crafter was gilded with Metalsmith's Guild, but as you can see there's a new tier that needs 200,000 XP, so it might be a good idea to start crafting all the crests, stock up on them so you can level this fast. From what I can see in the Metalsmith's Guild so far, the only tier 12 new thing I see have new improved recipes for armor, and I assume it's the same for other crafting locations. We can see here that there are some boots, some breastplates, chainmail, and a helm that you can craft if you're gilded with the Metalsmith's Guild. Of course, crafting is in an early stage, so there's no stats or nothing for this yet, but hopefully we'll see more for future builds. I traveled to Thorin's Hall and the Metalsmith's Guild, and it appears the leader has a quest called Back to Basics. Execute a recipe and you'll get a guild leader's crest, which is worth 50,000 points, so this is part of the new quests that were promised. That's the only quest I can see for now, but I'm assuming they're gonna add more. But they did say that crafting is not fully implemented yet, so we'll see in the future. And finally, ending the video, I'm just gonna show some items that we've seen so far. It appears that these big battle sets for Berg and Hunter are actually getting nerfed. For example, the Hunter 20% crit chance is now only 5% crit chance, and the Berg bonus also took a hit. I look at the new essences coming up. Of course, you have the yellow ones. They're probably gonna drop from landscape mobs. You have the purple ones. I really hope these are craftable or botterable. We don't want another Utterby farm. That's not fun for no one. We want to craft or barter for essences. This is what the Pelargir gold rings will look like if you open them at level 130. And if you use the item scanner, you can see that there are actually more crafting carryalls being planned. Not just for crafting materials, but you can see task items, essences. There's also for instruments. So you can expect more carryall items for the future. That's the end of the video. I will be back for beta build 2 with more videos from hopefully more instances and new stuff. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe, join my Discord, and I will see you in the next one.